This is Bloomie, our camper van. We're going to travel Europe with it and maybe beyond that point, we don't know yet. Here's a small unboxing and installation video of a fire suppression system.
Unboxing time. Not too many different packages opened without taking you guys in consideration. Here we go. Oh, it's nearly too big for the screen. This is the latest. It's from Volks Repairs. Nice guys, have a lot for the T3 and for older VW fans and probably for newer ones also, but never actually checked on those. What we should have here is a pretty cool device, and I'll unpack it and then tell you what it is, because this is, whoa, that's a big box for a small part. And there you go. Look at that. There we go. Much too modern picture of a car on it. But what it is automatic fire suppression system. That's a very fancy name for essentially a hose that will burst open and will spray Freon and some other additives probably to how would you say it? Maybe you can see it here. So it's basically just a hose that you can clamp at your motor or somewhere else where you have electricity, something that could go up in flames you don't want to happen. And then here are some specs. And what basically happens is when the temperature gets too high or the pressure gets too high, then it just bursts open and then it just automatically deploys. So with our beautiful VW air-cooled CV injection type engine out of 82, there are two things that tend to happen to them after 30 years. That is, or some gaskets blow up or some bearings give up and you basically have to revise your whole engine, or, and that's the worst variation, is when it goes up in flame because some injector basically just gives out and then hot fuel sprays on your engine, and then because the engine is in the back you don't notice maybe immediately, and then you might be too late to actually try to put it out. So this actually is proven itself to have helped a lot of other VW buses maybe to still have a mechanical issue and some leakage of fuel, but to avoid that, it just goes up in flames. So follow-up movie will probably be around installing it. You even get some custom tie wraps, although I should have a few of them. And maybe you can see it, I'm not sure. You can see the fluids going up. So it looks like water. It is much more. As soon as this actually interacts with regular air, so with then it basically becomes a big powder fluffy stuff that basically primarily takes away the oxygen of the fire and might be able to put it out, or at least gives you time to maybe get another fire extinguisher and try to do one better than just nothing. So that's it. Remember, it's called the BlazeCut T. It is not very cheap. This particular one is already 200 euros or close to it. I think 190 something. So in dollars that is like 230 probably. Not cheap, but on the other hand, having a burnt out bus is probably more expensive. So I see this as a worthwhile investment, and let's hope never really would need it. But in case of, we'll have it installed in the car. Ciao.
5 minutes later.
Okay, I thought let's install the BlazeCut fire suppression system ASAP, as this is typical for me. I would have it laying around in the house for a week, and that would be the week in, you know, something might go wrong. So better install it. It's kind of bringing an umbrella and then it doesn't rain, right? And if you don't have an umbrella, then it rains. I decided to just opt with the tie wraps that came with it because they might be better heat resistant, or otherwise they might melt because the engine bay could be really hot. What you're looking at here is actually the engine bay, but then the top cover in the T3 bus. So let me put this to a side and I'll show you. for whom never saw this yet, and this is actually just a vinyl cover that we have in there to keep it clean, and when the kids are playing it, it's nice and easy. So take that off, take that cloth off, and here's actually the engine bay as well, laid out with fire suppression already. If you've never seen a VW bus engine, this is the 2 liter, it's a CV. It's a 4-stroke boxer engine, so 2 pistons here, 2 there. And in most European versions you will have carburetors here and there. In my case I have injection, so that's more modern, although 36 years ago it was not that well developed yet, so it is actually surprisingly low in maintenance, but as the burning issue with your injectors is kind of the issue. So engine bay I'll show you a little bit more later in another movie, but first what we'll do here is turn this one around, and as you can see this is all sound dampening as well, fire suppressing. It's giving up a little bit, but there's no need to replace it. But this is where I'll install the fire kit. So what I do love of this kit that they developed is its simplicity, its analog type of nature, let's say, one that fits the bus, although I have the injection version, but also it doesn't need to be connected to the battery, it doesn't drain the battery, it still works if the battery would be empty. It's not dependent on anything, it's completely self-contained, no maintenance required. If you're lucky, you might have it 10 years in your bus, nothing ever goes wrong. If you need it, at least you know it's there. It might deploy, so let me look up how. So effectively it's just 2 meters of hose with this specific Freon mixture in there that seems to be good for suppressing oxygen and putting out the fire. And I'll probably just put it like in circles because the engine is basically directly down here, and just tie wrap it down and that's it. So simplest install ever. I should get this one, be able to do this one right. As well, working on a VW bus in general, to be honest, is as easy as can be. It's still nice and analog. There's some electronics there, some boxes, but you normally hardly actually need to do something with them because they're kind of feel safe. As in, you don't really need to understand them. If in case something goes wrong with them, for a few euros you still have a replacement. You just replace it for a working part. So normally the only thing that could get some level of irritation is to figure out what is the faulty box if it's electronics. But there's very active VW forum on Facebook that has so many people with an interest for these buses, as well let's say a love for them, that if you describe that my left cylinder is knocking and I don't know, it only happens in the 3rd gear when I accelerate, and somebody will shout out and says I have exactly the same. Took me like for ages to find out, but it's really simple. You just need to tighten up this bolt, or you need to replace that that part, and then you're good again. So that's what I do like. This is the part we probably will go in some time lapse, so I'll stop talking and just let you enjoy my handiwork here. And there we go. The last one, probably good enough. Don't really need to go beyond this point. Let me tighten it up a little bit to make it nice loopy-de-loops for you guys. But that's it. So I can it is actually amazing heavy now with an additional 2 kilos of hose. And again, engine bay, nothing too special other than the very, like for oil at the moment, engine oil. It's pretty good runner, starts really well, enough power, all 68 horses still seem to be there. There we go, close it up nice and tight, keeps the fumes out, and actually people tend to wanting when the engine overheats to keep them open a little bit, which you actually should not do because it actually is engineered to suck in cold air and blow it out. And as soon as you change the airflow directions, it doesn't work that well. So keeping it really tight and snug is actually advised over the feeling like if I give it a little bit more air, it might not overheat. It actually works the other way around. So fire suppression, be safe, trust the German engineer that probably was is in his 80s now, and do it like that. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.